Okay, are we ready?
We are.
Okay, well, this morning, Arlita, Winston, and I are going to be talking about making connections. So I want to say good morning to all and welcome. I'm Susan Wittenback, and right now I'm spending my summers on Lake Michigan and thrilled to be sharing today with my dear friend, Arlita Winston. 30 years ago in September, Cynthia Gomper shared Juice Plus with me at a class reunion. I couldn't hear her at the party, and she asked if she could call me. I just got a text, sorry. She asked if she could call me in a few weeks. She did, and I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Fruits and veggies in a capsule." I went, "Wow, oh my gosh, how could I get it?" And she said, "You could be a member of the company like Costco or be my customer and I would get the profit." Well, at the time I had a family at home and an interior design firm, community work, too busy, not looking for a business, but I wanted to buy it better for my family after seeing my kids feed Brussels sprouts to the dog under the dining room table. I knew I was trying to deliver, but they weren't necessarily receiving the plant nutrition. I eventually transitioned from my design business when I realized I could show people something that would enhance the quality of their lives. And I could realize more time and location freedom. Today, I'm a PMD plus because of all the wonderful people I've met, had conversations with, and who have chosen to share the benefits of plant nutrition with others.
It's good.
Arlita, tell us about you.
Well, I'm married to a physician, and we have 5 children and 28 grandchildren and 31 great-grandchildren until last week, and we added 2 more great-grandchildren. I was a school teacher once upon a time, but now am a presidential marketing director with Juice Plus. And for me personally, one of the most valuable aspects in my business is making personal relationships with others. Strangers soon become friends, and Susan was that for me. I knew about her. I looked up to her. I knew she had recently lost her husband, but I didn't know her. I just happened to sit next to her on our flight home from a Juice Plus conference, and her warmth embraced me. She immediately made me feel, oh, I like you. I want to get to know you. Later, we became partners in the Brene Brown training that our company offered, and trust grew as we learned one another's stories, and we've been connected ever since.
Yes, we surely have. The goal today is to look at what might stop us from connecting with people and sharing our stories. I think what stops us is our perceptions, our thinking, our mindset, our limiting beliefs. We all have them. Early on, I learned, as I grow, so will my business. Our business is 80% mindset and 20% tools or mechanics. The most important takeaway then is how we think and feel about what we're doing. Jim Rohn said, if you work on your job, you'll make a living. If you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune. He also said, you never know when you'll hear the one thing that will change your life forever. A beautiful old African proverb reminds us, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you. And Jeff Roberti always says, for things to change, we have to change. Cheryl Cortese has often talked with us about the power of the subconscious mind. It's often referred to as the limiting beliefs we all have. That's what that means. They say 5% of our actions comes from our conscious mind, our awareness, and 95% is our subconscious controlling what we do. Brene Brown, the vulnerability guru, among other things, has said, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. What does this mean for each of us? Most of the time, we see things with ego, focusing on faults and fears. Dr. Joan Borysenko, a scientist, therapist, and author, says with the wounds we gather growing up, we lose contact with our inner self, and we begin to identify with false selves, such as a people pleaser, a perfectionist, a victim. These are roles we adopted to feel safe and loved. To become authentic and truly connect with each other, we need to peel away these false selves. That's our personal growth work. It starts with loving ourselves. What stories are you telling yourself? This is the beginning of engaging with others in a meaningful way and telling your story. Consider the thought, are you attracting your feelings or beliefs? You might want to Google about the law of attraction. There's a lot of wisdom there, and I found many books on the subject. And I got a kick out of Carrie Daigle and our recent Level Up talking about reading more books. So he kept saying, read books, and it's so true. And I've done that most of my life as I learn and grow. I don't know if you ever arrive, but you keep peeling layers. So start by believing I am enough just as I am. Get in the habit of noticing what those inner voices are saying. Create a habit of mindfulness. Check in with yourself 4 to 5 times a day to see what's going on in your mind, what comes to your mind. And you can change your thinking if it's a negative thought. Lauren and Maura and so many others teach us affirmations and positive thinking. We all need to own this practice to grow into the positive, loving people we want to be and attract. And really, I believe who we are inside. Tell yourself, for example, in every day, in every way, I'm getting stronger, healthier, and more confident, or whatever works for your personal growth mantra. Make statements in the present tense. Our past is remembered in the present. The way we remember the past will change through our practice and self-awareness of what we're telling ourselves.
You know, Susan, you've worked with hundreds of partners. Do you find that some of us really have these limiting beliefs that actually limit our success?
Well, I'm quite sure of it. I've talked to a lot of people, and they say to me, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I'm worried about what they'll think of me. I don't know enough. I don't have enough time to lead a team or know how to lead a team. Money is the root of all evil. I'm afraid of 3-way connection calls. I'm afraid my friend will feel pressure or uncomfortable, and then they'll reject me or laugh at me. These are some of the stories we might tell ourselves that hold us back. I might say, tell me more. Let's talk about this. For example, I might suggest that a connection call be planned ahead of time regarding the goals of the call. That gives some comfort in calling. Or I might tell them, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. There's nothing wrong with these fearful thoughts if you don't stay there and wallow in them. We're encouraging you to check it out and develop your true self. Come from your heart and be authentic. Consider if you don't share Juice Plus and the business, you're deciding for them. We are educators, not salespeople. We ask questions, find a need, and offer a solution. And we listen. We ask a question, we stop, and we listen.
You know, Susan, I was fascinated with the beginning where you said that 80% had to do with our mindset and only 20% had to do with the tools. And so I really, what are some of the important mindsets that you have found to be helpful in your business?
Well, one of the, and people who know me know this, the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is a little book I love. It's a practical guide to personal freedom. It's a skill to practice daily and integrate. It makes life easier as we integrate and interact with people. Number one is be impeccable with your word. It's about integrity to me. And, it's about if you tell someone you'll call them at 2:00 tomorrow afternoon and you make an appointment, you follow up with that, you show up and you do it, or you make other plans, but you stay in touch. And number two is don't take anything personally. People will decide based on their own reality, on their own timing, their own experience, their perceived needs at the time. It's not about you. We know you're coming from your heart and you're caring about what you're doing. So let people be able to make their own decision. And you could always ask, would another time be better? And number three is don't make assumptions. Don't assume somebody can't afford something. I have found that people will buy something they find value in, or that they might not want to join your team because they're not looking for money or extra income or whatever, but people love our community. There's all kinds of reasons. So don't make any assumptions and do your best, whatever it is. And it's going to be different every single day because you may have a checklist of what you need to get done and life happens. And you did that. And that's your best. And so give yourself grace.
Oh, I love that, Susan. Do your best. My mother-in-law had a phrase. She said, do your best. Angels can do no more. We do our best. Well, sometimes our partners get stuck in the business. How do you help them?
Well, I think it's basically we start with the beliefs. And the 4 beliefs are the ones that are foundational to me. And I ask questions. I said, how do you feel about the network marketing industry? Is number one. And, that's so prevalent today. There's a lot of businesses out there and they might process with me their thoughts, but eventually they realize that this is a beautiful form of business. And our Juice Plus business is number 2. How do they feel about that? And, I tell them that we're different than a lot of businesses. Juice Plus makes 90% of its sales to end users. And we learn this as we go, and we teach next step thinking, no pressure to do. So I think people pretty much get comfortable with the business, and Juice Plus the product, that's a no-brainer once people realize fruits and veggies in a capsule. And belief in self is the biggest hurdle. Our self-confidence grows as we work our IGA, something I also learned from Cheryl, which is income generating activity, which is talking with people. We learn by doing. We get paid for talking with people. That's generally the bottom line. So I say, embrace uncertainty. The poet Rumi said, as you start to walk on the way appears. So I say, trust the process, shine your light, and have fun growing. Arlita, something you do a lot of work with is storytelling. Please share with us.
I love storytelling. I love stories. Don't we all? And children love them the best. And most of our children want to know when we were bad, when we were naughty. I certainly did. But storytelling just brings things alive. And I think of 2 ways storytelling is so important. First of all, stories are good connectors. We crave connection. Human connection brings us so many physical, mental, and emotional benefits. There are plenty of ways to connect with one another, but this one stands out, storytelling. You find something in the shared human experience that really resonates with someone else. You make people feel heard, feel validated, feel listened to. And as a good storyteller, You make people feel like they're not alone. And once that happens, the second thing happens. Storytelling becomes a tool that might affect change. It very often does. It actually can help drive behavior change because you're transported when you're absorbed in a good story. In a time when people are increasingly isolated and lonely, storytelling can help bridge the gap. But at its core, storytelling is about connection at deeper levels. And you and I are paid storytellers. Now, there's an art to this. The art elevates our job from the sales pitch category into a transformation category for that person or family. It means hope. So we need to learn our craft. Well, how do you do that? I like to see a simple formula in my mind as I'm getting to know someone by asking questions, because you're really wanting them to talk 80% of the time. I want to find out about them. Susan has said at one time, it's not about you, and yet it's all about you and the wisdom to know the difference. That's beautiful. You cannot assume that they want to hear your story or what you offer. So you need to keep these things in mind. And I have several things. Number one is know who you're talking to, know your audience. Well, how are you going to get to know them? And this is going to help you in just a bit when I give you a formula. But know your audience, adjust and shape your story based on what you found out about that person. Then number two, think about the goal or the intention of your story. Why are you telling that story? It might be to help drive a behavior change, that you know exactly what they need to help them. Perhaps you'll need to educate them or make them aware of a specific issue. But what do you want your takeaway to be? What is your message to them? Have that clearly in mind. Number three, choose the right time and the right place, because it's about their timing. And you're going to need to lean on your emotional intelligence skills here. Don't be attached to the outcome. Remember, this is a process. Remember, this is about relationship building and connection. One step at a time is good walking. Don't expect to make it all at once. Lean on that emotional intelligence that you pick up from their body language, from what they're saying. And the fourth thing is get personal. That can be scary, but be heart connected and really care about that other person and maybe what they're going through. Be sure to set a time to follow up with them personally. You could say, may I call you next week? Or can we get together for a cup of coffee? I've just loved this time spent with you, but I have to go right now. And I know you do too. But how about, or maybe you'd come and have lunch. Would you come and have lunch at my home? You see, that way you're sharing something of yourself with them. I find there's very little hospitality these days. People are afraid, they're isolated. Open up your heart and your home to them. Now, here's what I do before I even talk to them about Juice Plus, because I'm wanting to form a connection. And sometimes that takes a long time. Don't get discouraged. But you want to do, I form connections using an acronym FORM, form, because I'm forming a connection. Now, F is for their family. I want to find out who they are as individuals and who makes up their family. Are they absolutely alone and isolated, or do they come from a huge family? And what did that family do? Along the way, I'm going to be listening for any needs they might have. What makes them unique? Now, here are a few questions you might ask if you're a bit shy, because I find that this acronym, FORM, is very helpful to people who are very shy and don't even know the first question to ask. And they would rather answer a question that somebody else makes. They don't make the initiative. And so this is a wonderful acronym to keep in your mind. family first, you could say, what do you like to do as a family? Or who makes up your family? Or what's the highlight of your week as a family? Do you have pets? Oh, everybody loves to talk about their pets. And if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? These are things that get a conversation started. And it's important for us to listen carefully to their answer. Now we come to the second letter. O is for occupation. What do they do? How do they put food on the table? Well, what do they love about what they are doing? What gets them up in the morning? What inspires them? Well, they may just not love it at all. And you want to note that in your thinking. And then here are a few questions if you don't quite know how to take that next. If you can get these under your belt, so to speak, where they're easy to remember. And it happens by practice. I've got to remind you of that. It's practicing this. What are you most thankful for in your job? Now, that's going to give you some clues as to whether or not they want another job. What are you most afraid of? Or what do you feel most passionate about in your job? Or tell me, what would your perfect day be like? Well, what motivates you to work so hard? You say you work 80 hours a week? What motivates you to do that? You're going to pick up clues as you ask them these questions. All right, let's go to the third letter. R is for recreation, that recreating that energy. This is what we all need so badly, to know how to do this well. And you could say to them, with all your responsibilities, do you even have time for a vacation? What do you do for fun? What does your dream life look like? How do you like to spend your free time? Or if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? What is your favorite family vacation? These are all questions that can get them started in something that will teach you a little bit more about how they think. Because with our business, it offers the possibility of time freedom for them. So now we've talked about the family. We've learned some things about their family, their occupation, their recreation, and now comes time for the M, and that stands for your message to them, your story to them, the message that you want to get across to them. By now, you have those clues as to how Juice Plus, the product or the business, might help them. And then after you tell your story, you're going to ask them, well, what do you think about that? Oh, what makes you think that? Can you tell me more about that? How can I support you with this? What do you think are the next steps that you would like to take? Because I'm here to help you if you're interested. Are you ready to move on to the next? Do you want to get started? So I want to share with you in closing what I'm doing with my team. I'm really getting to know them. Weekly, we're having a 30-minute Zoom every Wednesday morning where we're taking turns telling a short story about our life. Notice I did not say a Juice Plus story. It has nothing to do with Juice Plus. You see, we need to learn how to dig deep inside of us in order to learn how to tell a story that has a hook that engages that other person. We're needing to learn how to do that and not go off on a whole lot of rabbit trails. So just a 3 to 5 minute story that has left a deep impression on us at some time in our life. After they've told that, then I ask somebody on that Zoom call, and this morning we had 19 on that call. After we ask, can someone retell that story in 1 minute? Think of the most important things you learned from that story. How can you tell that in 1 minute? And then we ask, now, did she leave out anything that was really important to the story? How can it carry the same impact and emotion in less time? Now, you see what's going to happen in telling stories is they're going to begin to reach down more deeply into their own lives to share with others, to tell a story to a group. And they're going to lose their fear of someone critiquing their story to make it better. Because what happens on those 30-minute calls is everybody jumps in and asks questions, some more questions about that story. That's exactly what you want to do with a Juice Plus story. You want to get it succinct with a great hook that makes them want to know more. You want them to lean into your story. So we are not starting with a Juice Plus story at all. We're learning how to tell something emotional that happened to us. And they're going to value the input from others. They're going to gain trust and freedom. Then, as a group, we're going to graduate to tell our Juice Plus story with the kind of emotion that hopes for change. And then I ask for their story to be given to me over Voxer, ideally, so that I can hear them tell it. And I want them to practice it and practice it and practice it so it becomes so much a part of them that they can tell a 1-minute story over a head of lettuce as they meet somebody, or they can tell a longer story, but you want it to keep short so that they lean into you and ask questions. So that's what we're doing, Susan.
That's amazing, Arlita. You've taken the principles of what I gave at the beginning and put them into action by encouraging people to go deep within themselves and share with someone else. And you do that with your team, and it's really authentic connection. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here for all of us, to be our own true selves.
So Susan, what do we want to leave the people with just in these last minutes?
Well, I'd like to say to everybody, find your joy as you connect with people and shine your light. Most of all the new NMDs will say the most value they received is who they've become in the process of business building. We can choose our joy. Two people can be part of the same event and live it quite differently. What makes us human is freedom of choice. Where your focus goes, energy flows. I love that quote. Remember, it's not about you, it's all about you. And we need the wisdom to know the difference. You are enough. You, be natural, smile, and keep your compassion and sense of humor open. You don't get what you want, you get what you believe. You need to know what your beliefs are in order to change them. So do the self-work, discover what's holding you back, and change your limiting beliefs. I hope you're inspired to grow through your challenges while making connections. Thank you all for your time today. We love you.
Thank you for the privilege of sharing with you.
Yeah.
Thank you